Good time to call in now my former House colleague, likewise the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Piet Hoekstra, joining us by telephone from The Hague in the Netherlands. Pete, what do you make of the president's claim that now he needs no new congressional approval to take action in Iraq?
Well, I think the president's probably correct in that the resolution that Congress passed, after 9/11, gives the president vast discretion in conducting, the war that the president says is over is the war in terror. I think the important thing here, JD, is, what's the tone of the president? Is it saying, hey, guys, I'm going to consult with you, I'm going to work with you, I want us to do this together, and I don't think I need any congressional authority for this, but, we're in this together. Or is he coming out and saying, hey, you know what? I don't need any more congressional authority. I'm going to do what I want to do and what I think I need to do, and I'm not going to work with Congress. I hope it's the former and not the latter.
Well, as we talk about a disposition of leadership in Iraq, we take a look at al-Maliki, or Maliki as some call him. Sources say there's a growing chorus in Washington that there needs to be a change at the top in Baghdad if there's any hope of unifying Iraq yet again. What is your take on Maliki's stewardship and further instability in that region?
I think we checked out of Iraq a long time ago. We don't have the credibility there anymore. We never had a status of forces agreement for the voices in Washington for calling for the removal and for the change of, I call him Maliki. We don't have the credibility. We don't have the influence in there anymore, and I don't think we've got the knowledge in terms of saying, we want Maliki out, and this is what we've got to put in its place. As you and I talked about earlier this week, and, I think Iraq, as we know it, is over. You're going to have a Shia portion of the former state of Iraq. You are going to have this force that ISIS is going to be controlling what they're calling the caliphate. That's going to be the central part of Iraq. And one of the surprising developments in the last 48 hours, the Peshmerga, the folks fighting on behalf of the Kurds, military arm of the Kurds, it appears that they've got their nose bloodied by ISIS. And, I know the Kurds, I know the Peshmerga, I've seen them, I've met with them. Their reputation is that they are tough fighters, and if they're getting their nose bloodied by ISIS there in the northern part of the northern central part of Iraq, that is very concerning because the Peshmerga, they are one tough fighters. But the end result, there will be a northern part of Iraq, probably also encompassing parts of Syria, which will become the new Kurdistan.
Pete, I guess we could say great minds think alike. General Michael Hayden was on this program yesterday. He also appeared with Steve Malzberg. Listen to his assessment. It sounds like an echo of what you're seeing. Here's General Hayden.
I think the state of Iraq as we know it is gone, and it's not going to be reconstituted.
So there it is. Now this in effect tripartite separation, Kurds keeping to themselves, and you have perhaps something based on the theological differences between the Sunni and Shia. Do you expect it to break down in that way, a de facto partitioning of Iraq?
I do, and the question will be how much further does it go? I think it will impact Syria. That's a given with the Syrian government disintegrating. The question is, what are the Kurds going to do? The Kurds in northern Iraq and the Kurds that are in Turkey. Are the Kurds in Turkey going to move into the geographic area that is the former Iraq, or are they going to advocate that parts of Turkey become part of this new Kurdistan? And then you've got the Kurds in Iran. I mean, there's a lot of regional instability. That's when you're looking at Syria, Turkey, and Iran. But then you've got to also take a look west. What are the implications for Jordan, King Abdullah, the folks that I've talked to here in the Netherlands and other European leaders? We are all concerned about the future of King Abdullah.
Pete, you prefaced your remarks saying, quote, we checked out of Iraq a long time ago. Is that why the CIA apparently is facing gaps in its hunt for Iraqi terrorists?
Oh, sure. I mean, we go out, we've checked out, out of the day-to-day activities, no residual force. The CIA had a very extensive network. We had a huge base and presence in Iraq. We developed a lot of sources. But when we pulled our troops out, we pulled out that day-to-day kind of intelligence that the CIA would be able to give us. We probably became more limited in what we could do with our surveillance techniques, i.e., what is the NSA listening to? Where are their listening posts in Iraq? What is their capacity? I think we've lost a lot of capacity in Iraq. And, again, that's very, very concerning. The U.S., we've seen some of our fighters go into, from the U.S. go into Syria. Now they may be in Iraq. We're worried about, them coming back. But, the Dutch have had somewhere in a couple of dozen fighters go to Syria, Iraq, and come back. The U.K. and Germany, they've seen a couple of hundred. France has probably seen a couple of thousand fighters go into that part of the world. They're very concerned about what happens when these folks come back. I'm not sure if they even know what's home, whether these fighters consider, Syria or the new caliphate in Iraq, whether they consider that home or whether they consider France, the Netherlands, or the UK home. But when
Pete,
they return to Europe, we're very concerned what they're going to do.
And you raise a cautionary tale not only for Europe, but also stateside, as we saw apparently an American suicide bomber in Syria in the civil war there. I want to get back to that if time permits in a second. We've got about 3 minutes. I'd be remiss, Pete, if we did not talk about the capture of the alleged mastermind of the Benghazi attack. Pete, there's been a lot of speculation on the timing of the apprehension of this alleged mastermind. Do you find the timing more than passing curious?
Oh, I mean, I assume that, we took him the first time. We had a great shot at getting him with a minimal amount of risk, the least amount of risk to the U.S. personnel involved. I think the bigger question with getting this guy, there's speculation. I think that, I think he's probably lawyered up already because they want to try him in the courts. Personally, I consider this guy a terrorist. I agree with Lindsey Graham. I'd send him to Gitmo. I'd do everything we can to get every bit of intelligence out of him because, what's going on in Libya. You got, Libya's disintegrating too. It's a dangerous place. This is not about a successful criminal prosecution. This is about protecting American national security interests, the security interest of Europe. Interrogate this guy, get as much information out of him, and then throw him in a prison camp. I'm not all that excited about throwing him into a courtroom.
Well, we want to, we appreciate your response. We know where you stand for sure, Mr. Chairman. Want to go back. Hillary Clinton, with her book tour and some say a preview of a presidential campaign, in a television appearance weighing in on the capture of this alleged mastermind. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
What we try to do in this country, and I think what was made abundantly clear by this latest effort, is we have an unwavering commitment to go after anyone, no matter how long it takes, who is responsible for harming Americans.
That was Hillary Clinton with Bret Baier on Fox News. Now, she didn't talk there about going to court, but obviously the notion of treating these incidents as crimes we saw in the first World Trade Center bombing in the United States before that horrible attack of 9/11/2001. Just a fundamental philosophical difference between the parties, largely on law and order issues as opposed to acts of war?
Well, I think, one, you've got, the Trade Center, that's obviously before 9/11. That happens on U.S. soil, and we weren't having that debate. That, at that time, very clearly fell into a criminal act, a very dangerous and deadly type of criminal attack. After 9/11, you take a look at it and say, wait a minute, this is a war, and it's not only Libya, it's Syria, it's Iraq, it's Kenya, it's Nigeria. Let's count the places. These are not all criminals. They are deadly terrorists. And when the president is, similar to the guy in Benghazi, is willing to take these folks out with a drone in Pakistan, Yemen, and other parts of the world, we would have had a shot at this guy. We probably would have taken him out with a drone.
And Pete, we'll have to stop it right there. Thanks for your time. There's more to come.